Namaste Narayanam Namaskritim Naram Naram Devim Saraswati Vyasam Nastapaya Javadresi Nityam Bhagavati Uttam Nastapaya. So continuing with the discussion on Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita by Srila Swami, Volume 4, in every town and village around the world, 1968 to 1971, Chapter 30th, London, A Dream Fulfilled. So Prabhupada is in London and is at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, and he has gone for a walk, beautiful lawn they have, and he said that Prabhupada is speaking to his disciples. Prabhupada mentioned the British economy, which he said was sinking into the sea because of the sound devaluation. So many British lords had gained their wealth by exploiting of the nation. Now, having exhausted the good karma, they were suffering the results of it. They were too poor to maintain their base of state. But they still have a good economy. I mean, that was in 1969, 2025. Still not that bad. They used to have 17 men working full time just on the garden, Prabhupada explained. And now they cannot even pay the taxes. So they have to give the whole kingdom. And it is falling into the hands of the street. Ishan asked Prabhupada, how is it that a person like me from such a degraded background can come to Krishna consciousness? Because you are intelligent, Prabhupada replied. I don't understand. Because you are intelligent, Prabhupada repeated. Ishan's wife, Vibhavati, asked, what is the meaning of a spiritual master? Actually, I'm not your spiritual master, Prabhupada. That title is simply a command. You should think of me as a spiritual father, your eternal father. As he walked past the tractor, Kulasheswar remarked, the tractor is a very wonderful invention, isn't it? Prabhupada turned to Kulasheswar. This tractor is a downfall of the Indian village system. Why is it that? It does the work of 10 men. Yes, Prabhupada. Previously, the young men of the village would be engaged in plowing the field. Then the tractor came along and did the work of all those young men. And they had nothing to do. So they went to the city to try to find work. And they fell into illusion. Stopping beside a clump of yellow grass, Prabhupada asked, why is this yellow grass different? No one answered. The other grass is green, but this is yellow. What's the reason? Still no one answered. This yellow grass is drying up, Prabhupada explained, because the roots are not attached. Therefore it is yellow. Similarly, when we detach ourselves from Krishna, then we will dry up. They walked to a spot where the grass grew almost 6 feet high, stopping in the path the tractor had turned. Prabhupada smiled. Oh, we can go, he said there. And he strode ahead with his cane into the head-high jungle of grass and leaves. He walked until he came to a low hill that had been cleared, and he stopped. As he stood there, surrounded by the sea of grass and a few disciples, Kulishekar asked about the song Prabhupada had been singing earlier that morning. That song, Prabhupada, is about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would rise and he would go out at this time of morning, when the sun has risen, but is not yet in the sky. As Prabhupada spoke, the mist was already dissipating, and the golden glow in the sky had moved higher above the horizon. Prabhupada raised his hand and swayed from side to side. In this way, he said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would dance in the morning. As he returned by the main house, John Lennon stood gazing out through the glass doors, watching. Prabhupada, walking with a cane, dressed in his black coat and his wearing pants, looked like the gentleman of that day out for his morning walk. Stopping now and then, he would look at certain trees, touching their bark, rubbing the leaves, inspecting them closely. At the beginning of the walk, a devotee had picked a rose and handed it to him, and he still held it in his hand. He had walked for an hour. Everywhere the scenery had been beautiful, And everywhere he has instructed his followers in Krishna consciousness. As Prabhupada approached the building where he lived, he met Lady Saraswati. Taking her hand, he walked along with her to the foot of the stairs. Where is thou? Prabhupada was halfway up the stairs when he turned and saw Saraswati standing in the doorway watching. He beckoned and called to her, come on. And she crawled up the stairs after him. When Saraswati came into Prabhupada's room, he asked her, so are you old enough to go to Gurukul? No, she said, shaking her head. Come here. I'm going to put a stamp on the forehead. And then we're going to put you in a red mailbox and send you to Gurukul. Saraswati began to cry, Malati, Malati, I don't want to go, and ran and hid behind her. Come on, Saraswati, Prabhupada called. Come sit on my lap and I'll give you some prasada. She came and sat on Prabhupada's knee. Now get me the stamp, Purushottam Hiti. We are going to send her to Gurukul. Saraswati speaks and ran to Malati. To Srila Prabhupada, Saraswati was a pure spirit soul, but because she was in a small-sized body, he didn't teach her philosophy. He teased her, gave her prashadam, treated her with the affection of a grandfather. But through her attachment to him, she would become attached to Krishna. After breakfast, when the sun had warmed the air, Prabhupada opened his window, sat down at his harmonium, and sang for it. As he sang with closed eyes, his head shaking, he played the harmonium. And Yamuna sat at the bottom of the stage, crying tears of appreciation. Prabhupada had been singing for a while when he stopped and called for Yamuna. Do you enjoy my kirtan? He asked. Yes, he nodded. Very much. The prayers of Narottam Das Thakur, he said, this sound is above the material platform. It's directly from the spiritual platform, and there is no need of understanding the language. It's just like a thunderbolt. Everyone can hear the sound of thunder. There is no misunderstanding. Similarly, these songs are above the material platform and they crack like thunder when you within your heart. Why don't you come here every day during my sermon? That would be wonderful. Yes, that's our part. From now on, we will record. And every morning after that, Prabhupada and Purushottam and Yamuna would come to his room and record. What's your favorite bhajan? Yamuna. What's yours? Prabhupada returned. Lord Chaitanya's Shikshashtam said, my favorite, said Prabhupada, is Hari Hari Visale. He recited the gist of the prayer in English. O Lord Hari, I have spent my life eatlessly. Although I have taken this rare human birth, I have not worshipped Radha and Krishna, so I have only drunk poison. There is so much depth of meaning in Narottam Das Thakur's prayer. Purushottam. Once Prabhupada was sitting alone in his room. I walked by and heard him singing a prayer I have never heard before. And I went to him. Of course, everyone knows he sings. He can sing very beautifully, very greatly inspired. But I had never heard him sing as beautifully as he did that one time. I had heard him sing many, many times in many tenders, but I had never heard him sing as beautifully as this. I felt very honored to hear it, very privileged. It was beautiful. When he was done, he just got up and said, let's go now. Prabhupada also chanted one chapter of Bhagavad Gita daily for 18 years. Anywhere Bhagavad Gita is chanted, he said that place becomes a tirtha, a holy place. Wow. Purushottam reported to the devotees in the United States these activities of Srila Prabhupada. He is singing prayers a lot, and much of it is being recorded. I must admit that the tapes of songs and prayers he's making now are the best ones I've ever heard. Wait until you hear them when you get back. As the Bhagavatam says, bring deep expectation. For men of piety, and yourself is taken from this mortal thing. The women cooking for Prabhupada were serving him American desserts, apple pie, donuts, great cookies. Prabhupada would smile, but he would only nibble at the dessert. One afternoon he said, these sweets are very nice, but no one has made me sundaes. None of the devotees knew how to make Bengali sweets, so Prabhupada took them into the kitchen and taught them to make sundaes. Although they had washed carefully, the first attempt produced sundaes that were very dry and grainy. But Prabhupada accepted it, referring the sundaes which Krishna himself used to eat in the Western conception. For the devotees at Chetan House, to have Prabhupada living among them was again to witness Krishna's pure devotee as he engaged constantly in ecstatic devotional service with his body, mind, and word. They could see how Prabhupada was speaking and acting in Krishna consciousness at every moment. And his presence confirmed that the most exalted platform of pure devotion service was a reality. His disciples felt bliss and renewed determination just by being there. Prabhupada's hosts, John and Yoko, also had the valuable opportunity to be near Prabhupada, although they chose to keep apart. Remaining together in their own world, they mingled, but rarely with the devotees. Prabhupada's men continued to work under John's management, and John was content to let the Swami and his entourage. When the head gardener asked John how to feed the devotees, he said, "Let them please themselves." On hearing of certain activities in the moon house, Prabhupada commented about the bad influence women sometimes have on men. But he kept out of John and Yoko's affairs. He had his own affairs in Christian conscience. So, although Prabhupada was staying, and all the devotees were staying in servant quarters of that big estate, but still, they were being respected by John and Yoko, and Prabhupada didn't want to interfere in their life also. Having been whisked from the airport to Titan House, Prabhupada had seen little of London, and one day he asked Shamsundar to take him on a tour of the city. Prabhupada had grown up in British Calcutta, hearing London praised as the seat of Britain's world empire. So when he saw how small many of London's historic landmarks were, he was particularly surprised. At Buckingham Palace, he remarked, "We have many houses in Calcutta, bigger than this." The themes celebrated in the writings of British authors he had studied in college was a disappointment also. It's a canal. It's only a canal. In my mind, I thought it was bigger than the kingdom. But the most interesting sight was a building at 7 Berry Place. City officials had recently granted the devotees permission to occupy the temple. That part of battle was won. Now Shamsundar and his few helpers had to finish the remodel. On seeing the temple's location near the British Museum and Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, Srila Prabhupada became even more anxious that Shamsundar fixed an open gate, asking. In September, Srila Prabhupada wrote to Satguru about his stay at the temple spa. Here there is a nice big hall exactly suitable for a temple. I begin to give lectures here on specific days, but there are no outsiders coming. Prabhupada wanted to preach to the outsiders, and if they won't come to him, he would go to them. His first outside meeting arranged by the devotees was at the Camden Town Hall in the heart of London, and was well attended both by musicians and by Indians. After Prabhupada's brief lecture, only about 15 minutes, a lively question and answer session began. Women, would you say Krishna is God or Krishna is love? Without love, how can Krishna be God? So, no, I asked you, Prabhupada. Yes, that's the real position. Krishna means all attractive. Anything which is all attractive, you can really love. Man, then the particle of the Supreme Being, man, is also all love. Prabhupada, yes, you are part and parcel of Krishna. You want to love somebody and Krishna wants to love you. This is loving exchange. But instead of loving Krishna, you're trying to love something else. That is your sorrow. The love is there in you and Krishna, and when the love will be exchanged between you and Krishna, that will be your perfection of love. Man, thank you. Indian women, would it matter if I worship any other? Would it matter whether I worship Krishna or Shiva or Christ or Buddha? Would it matter? Prabhupada. If you worship Shiva, you will get Shiva. If you worship Krishna, you will get Krishna. Why do you expect Krishna? Why do you expect Krishna by worshiping Shiva? What is your idea? Indian women, my idea is, would it matter? Prabhupada, don't you suppose if you purchase a ticket for India, you will go to India? How can you go to America? Indian women, that is not the point. Prabhupada, this is the point. That is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Yanti Deva Vrita Deva, Indian women. But my point is, Prabhupada, your point, you understand. Why don't you understand the description of? If you worship demigods like Shiva and others, you will go there. If you worship Krishna, you will go to Krishna. What's the difficulty on that? To understand. Indian women, do you think that Shiva is a demigod? Prabhupada, yes, why not? Indian women, But Krishna says that it doesn't matter the way you worship. All means have the same goal, and you will reach the same goal. You can take the different paths, but you will come to me eventually. Prabhupada, try to understand. Suppose you have to go to the 42nd floor of a building, and you're going up one after another. So the goal is the 42nd story, but you cannot claim that after going a few steps that I have come to the goal, 42nd story. The path is well, that is path is one, that's all right. But you have to reach the ultimate. But you do not know what the ultimate is. Oh, voice is not clear. Let me-
Is it better now? I hope it is.
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ji, thank you.
A young hippie stood up and shouted, "Hey, Swamiji, people in the audience."
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, but let me mute everybody. A young hippie stood up and shouted, "Hey, Swamiji," people in the audience turned around and looked. "You said if we are not careful in the next life, we will become a dog. But I want to tell you that I don't mind if I become a dog in the next life." "Well, you have my blessings," said Prabhupada. And the young man sat down. So if Prabhupada gave him his blessings, definitely he must have become a dog next life. But anyway, seeing Prabhupada, being in Prabhupada's presence, definitely that's a good karma. One night lectures in scattered places around the city proved further the need of a temple. Prabhupada had experienced a similar situation in New York City in 1965. At that time also he had no temple. His audiences would listen respectfully and then disperse, and he would never see them again. To become Krishna conscious, however, a person needed to hear about Krishna repeatedly, and for that a temple was required. Once Prabhupada had his temple established in London, thousands would be able to come and hear about Krishna, take prasadam, and appreciate the lovely deity form of the Lord. A temple would provide guests with regular, intimate contact with the devotees of the Lord, and this was essential. In the absence of a temple, however, Prabhupada was prepared to go on lecturing all over London. Krishna's teachings, Krishna's kirtan, Krishna's prasadam were absolutely good. They would act regardless of the external situation. Conway Hall was a 500-seat auditorium in Red Lion Square in central London. By arranging a series of 12 lectures over the next 3 months, the devotees hoped to oblige Prabhupada to stay in England at least that long. Guru Das had drawn up a list of lecture titles and printed 50,000 handbills. Admission would be 2 shillings and 6 pence. The first night at Conway Hall, about 100 people attended. Prabhupada sat on a cushion atop a table leading kirtan while his disciples sat on the floor. Yamuna played harmonium and Mukunda and Kulashekha played mridangas. Prabhupada Radha Krishna deities stood on the altar on a separate table beside Prabhupada. A Hare Krishna mantra banner hung against a blackboard. Guru Das had billed tonight's lecture the teachings of the Vedas, and Prabhupada explained that Vedic teachings can be understood only by hearing them from self-realized saints. After Prabhupada's lecture, the audience gave a sustained round of applause. Prabhupada answered questions and had Yamuna lead a final kirtan. The next day, Prabhupada wrote to Dr. Shyamsundar Das Brahmachari in India. "I spoke for about an hour, and after that they continued clapping, which confirms their appreciation." At the second Conway Hall engagement, when Prabhupada stood during the kirtan and began to dance, the devotees on stage joined him, dancing in a circle. Ishan played his trumpet, and even Saraswati, her diaper showing beneath her short dress, jumped up and down in ecstasy. Each week would bring another Conway Hall meeting, and Prabhupada's dancing became a regular feature. One night at Conway Hall, an Englishman stood and asked, "Why is it you don't try to help the people of your own country? Why did you come so far? Why don't you simply approach the big politicians? There are big politicians who try to help there." Prabhupada, "You're a great politician, therefore I'm approaching you. Is that all right?" Another man asked, if this is absolute truth, how come there are so many people in London, but not so many people are in attendance here? Prabhupada. When you're selling diamonds, you don't expect many customers. But if you're giving glass, the fools will come. We have a very precious thing, this Krishna consciousness movement. Don't expect that all the foolish people will take to it. Some sincere souls have come. You please also take it. Prabhupada felt encouraged by the response of the English. Regularly, the audiences would join in chanting and dancing. In London, things are going on nicely. And last evening, we had a meeting in Conway Hall, and several hundred persons were joining us in chanting and dancing. After the meeting, one reporter from the biggest London newspaper came behind the stage to get further information about our movement for publication in this paper. So I'm very encouraged to see the nice reception that the people and the news media are giving to our activities in London. Late in October, Prabhupada spoke at the English Speakers Union to a predominantly Indian audience. He began his talk. Although we are a small gathering today, this is a very important meeting. India has got a message. You are all respectable Indians present here in an important city of the world, London. And I have come here with an important mission. It's not the same mission as Indians generally have who have come here and to other foreign countries to beg something. I've come here to give something. So you please try to cooperate with me. So, wonderful engagements Prabhupada is having, giving lectures everywhere in London and trying to engage everybody. So that is the best. Anyway, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Manta. You all have a safe and
Thank you,
wonderful day.
Prabhuji.
Take care.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Prabhupada.